In our previous journeys together, we navigated the tumultuous landscape of boyhood psychology. We met the divine child, source of our wonder, the precocious child, the seed of our intellect, the Oedipal child, the root of our desire for connection, and finally, we walked the hero's gauntlet, that fiery trial of adolescence, where a boy fights to forge an identity of his own. We saw how the hero, in his passionate quest for freedom and glory, stands at the very threshold of manhood. But we also learned that to truly become a man, the hero must, in a symbolic sense, die. He must surrender his self-centered quest so that something larger, more generative, and more profound can be born. Today, we cross that threshold. We step out of the realm of the boy and into the world of the mature masculine. We begin our exploration of the four great archetypes of manhood: the king, the warrior, the magician, and the lover. Now, I had originally planned to follow the sequence of the book, beginning with the sovereign energy of the king and concluding with the passionate energy of the lover. But a longtime member of our Decode Explained community, a viewer named Will, made a thoughtful suggestion. He proposed that we reverse the order. Why? Because, as Robert Moore and other Jungians have observed, each archetype tends to find its greatest strength at different stages of a man's life. The king, the integrated center of the psyche, is often the last to fully emerge, the crowning achievement of the other three. But the lover, as we are about to discover, is the archetype of youthful idealism, of passion, of vibrant connection to the world. It is very often the first of the mature archetypes to truly awaken in a young man. I think this is a brilliant approach. So that is the path we will take. Thank you, Will, for that insight. So, let us begin our analysis where life itself so often begins. With passion, with connection, with feeling. Let us begin with the lover. When you hear the word lover, your mind likely gravitates towards romance and sexuality. And while that is certainly a vital aspect of this archetype, its domain is infinitely more vast. For there are many kinds of love: the love for family and friends, the love for one's craft, the love for God or for a guiding principle, and the profound, all-encompassing love for life itself. The lover archetype, in its fullness, passionately seeks them all. He is the archetype of deep emotion, of profound feeling, of idealism, and of what the ancients called sensualitas sensuality. Like the word lover, sensuality has often been narrowed to mean only the sexual, but its true meaning is far richer. Sensuality is the practice of being fully alive in your body, of opening every one of your senses to the world in all its glory. It is the art of touching, tasting, smelling, hearing, and seeing life in its highest possible resolution. To be sensual is to experience the multi-dimensional texture of reality. Therefore, when a man is connected to the energy of the lover archetype, he feels truly alive. He is animated with a vital force that connects him to the world and to the people around him. A man in touch with his inner lover feels things deeply. Whether those feelings are ecstatic joy or heart-wrenching sorrow, he does not numb himself or run from his emotional life. He inhabits it. He understands that a full life requires a full heart, one capable of embracing the entire spectrum of human experience. The lover is attuned to the mysterious, unseen forces that underpin our daily existence. He feels the subtle currents of energy that flow between people, the shifting atmosphere of a room, the silent call of a beautiful landscape. This is the archetype that fuels a man's spiritual side, his quest for meaning, and his connection to the transcendent. It is in the realm of the lover that the muses reside. When we are struck by a flash of creative inspiration, a sudden insight, a brilliant new idea that is the lover energy manifesting in our lives, A man who intentionally cultivates this archetype within himself will find that these moments of inspiration, these deep intuitions and gut feelings, become more frequent and more reliable guides. He learns to trust the wisdom of his heart, not just the logic of his head. A man who has fully developed the lover in his life is also often a master of empathy. He is adept at reading other people, at picking up on subtle social cues and unspoken emotions. He knows how to attune himself to others, to truly listen, and to connect with a wide variety of people from all walks of life. This isn't a manipulative skill. It's a genuine capacity for compassionate understanding. He feels with others, and this makes him a cherished friend, a devoted partner, and an inspiring leader. Because the lover is so vibrant and sensual, he delights in the pleasures of the world. He enjoys good food and drink, beautiful art and music, compelling conversation, and the beauty of the human form. This is the archetype that fuels our healthy appetites and our desires. But this hunger is not just for the so-called lower pleasures of sex and food. It is a hunger for a life of passion, meaning, and purpose. And in his search for the freedom to pursue these passions, the lover can often experience boundaries, rules, and limitations as painfully constricting. He yearns to be boundless. This is why the lover archetype has such a unique and crucial relationship with the other three archetypes of mature masculinity. While the lover's energy is boundless and seeks infinite expansion, the archetypes of the king, the warrior, and the magician provide structure, discipline, boundaries, and direction. Think of it like a mighty river. The lover is the water. It's powerful, life-giving, and immense. Without a channel, this water would dissipate into a vast, useless swamp. The king is the one who charts the river's course, deciding where it should flow to bring the most life and order to the kingdom. The warrior is the one who builds the strong banks, digging the channels and ensuring the river's power is contained and directed. The magician is the one who understands the secret hydraulics of the river, knowing how to build dams to generate power or irrigation systems to make the fields fertile. The lover's passion provides the essential energy and motivation for the other three. In turn, they channel and ground the lover's energy in a healthy way, directing it toward worthy and generative goals. Without the lover, the king becomes a tyrant, the warrior a brutal thug, and the magician a cold manipulator. They have power, but no heart. Without the other three, the lover becomes a destructive, chaotic mess. We can find the lover archetype in myths and rituals stretching across all cultures and times. The Greek god Dionysus is perhaps the most famous example. Dionysus was the god of wine, revelry, art, ecstasy, and passion. His followers believed that when a person was so overcome with emotion that they seemed to go mad, it was Dionysus himself taking possession. The annual festivals held in his honor each spring were pure, lover-inspired rituals. People would drink wine freely, dance with wild abandon, watch theatrical dramas that stirred the soul, and engage in loving communion. A more modern literary example that embodies the lover archetype is the character of Zorba, from Nikos Kazantzakis' novel Zorba the Greek. Zorba is a man who lives life to its absolute fullest. He is earthy, sensual, and deeply connected to the world. He loves good food and wine. He dances with his entire being. He embraces both joy and sorrow with the same passionate intensity. Zorba understands a profound truth that his more intellectual and detached companion does not. To be truly free, a man needs a deep emotional life. He needs, as he says, a little madness. To have a healthy lover archetype is to be willing to dance on the beach, even when your grand plans have crumbled to dust, simply for the love of the dance itself. This is the energy that is often most prominent in young men. Look at most men in their late teens and early 20s, and you will see how they are often dominated by the lover. They seek new and thrilling experiences. They form passionate, romantic, and sexual relationships, and they are filled with the soaring idealism of youth. Their lives are marked by a thrilling and sometimes overwhelming intensity. But like all the great archetypes, this potent energy can fracture. If it is not properly integrated and balanced by the other archetypes, it splits into its bipolar shadows. For every man who dances with the joyous madness of Zorba, there are others lost in the dark territories of the lover's shadows. These are the addicted lover and the impotent lover. Let us first face the addicted lover. This shadow emerges when the lover's boundless energy is not contained and channeled by the king, warrior, and magician. According to Moore, when a man is possessed by the addicted lover, he is in a state of perpetual restlessness. He is on a lifelong, desperate search for something, a person, a place, an experience, a substance that will finally make him feel truly, completely alive. But whether it's because his expectations are impossibly high, or because he doesn't even really know what he's looking for in the first place, this vague, gnawing hunger is never satisfied. The addicted lover falls madly in love with every woman he dates, convinced she is the one, only to be plunged into despair when the relationship inevitably ends because it couldn't live up to his idealized fantasy. He constantly comes up with grand ideas for inventions or businesses that will make him rich and famous, but he never sticks with any of them long enough to achieve success. He abandons them the moment the initial thrill wears off and the hard work begins. His apartment is cluttered with expensive gadgets he bought on impulse and then never used. His passport is filled with stamps from exotic locations, but his travels bring him no more lasting happiness than the man who never leaves his hometown. The addicted lover is a collector. He collects experiences, possessions, sexual partners, spiritual highs, but without the structuring and ordering principles of the other archetypes, without an overarching philosophy of life to connect all the things he gathers, his life feels fragmented and disjointed rather than whole. It's a series of disconnected snapshots, not a coherent film. Lacking a channel to move through, the lover's powerful energy dissipates in a million different directions, leaving him feeling empty and exhausted despite his frantic activity. This is the man who lives on the hedonic treadmill. He gets a brief high from a new purchase, a new romance, a new drug, but his brain quickly adapts, the pleasure fades. And so he needs a bigger hit, a more intense experience, a more dramatic fix just to feel the same level of excitement he felt at the beginning. He is trapped in a negative feedback loop of seeking and dissatisfaction, a restless ghost haunting his own life. The other side of this shadow coin is the man who takes all of that powerful lover energy and focuses it obsessively on a single thing. He becomes so fixated on the object of his desire that, instead of bringing him joy, it brings ruin and destruction. Perhaps you've known a man who became so enmeshed in a single project, a business venture, or even a hobby that it destroyed him financially and ruined his relationships. That is a man possessed by the addicted lover. I believe the most perfect literary example of a man haunted by the addicted lover shadow is J. Gatsby from F. Scott Fitzgerald's masterpiece, The Great Gatsby. Gatsby is addicted not to a substance, but to an idea. He is addicted to the fantasy of Daisy Buchanan. He spends his entire life building a colossal fortune through criminal activity, all for the singular purpose of winning her back. He curates an entire world, throws the most lavish parties, all as an elaborate lure for this one woman. But in the end, the real, flesh-and-blood Daisy inevitably disappoints him. She cannot possibly live up to the idealized version of her that Gatsby has been obsessively worshipping for years. She is a flawed human being, not the holy grail of his imagination. And if you know the story, you know how it ends for J. Gatsby. The lesson is stark and unforgiving. Possession by the addicted lover ultimately leads to destruction. On the opposite pole of this shadow dynamic, we find the impotent lover. This shadow emerges when a man has lost his connection to the lover archetype in its fullness. He is cut off from his own heart. While the integrated lover sees the world in vibrant color and rich texture, the impotent lover sees only shades of gray. Men dominated by this shadow feel chronically depressed, listless, bored, and emotionally flat. Nothing brings them joy. Nothing sparks their interest. They have lost their passion for life, their libido in the full Jungian sense of the word, not just sexual drive, but the psychic energy for life itself. For the man possessed by the impotent lover, relationships, both romantic and platonic, feel difficult and draining. His sexual desire, and often his sexual function, withers away. He feels disconnected from his own body, from other people, and from the world. While the addicted lover gives himself too little structure, the impotent lover can arise in a man who gives himself far too much. This often happens to men, sometimes deeply religious or ideologically rigid men, who take the healthy guidance of their faith or philosophy and twist it into a cage of puritanical rules. They feel ashamed of their natural appetites and view all earthly pleasures with suspicion. They build a dam of rigid self-control to hold back the powerful river of lover energy. But that energy has to go somewhere. Blocked from any healthy outlet, it inevitably builds up immense pressure until it bursts forth in destructive and often secret ways. The man who rigidly denies himself all pleasure might suddenly find himself compulsively addicted to pornography. The man who prides himself on his cold rationality may be prone to sudden, inexplicable fits of rage. The impotent lover, under enough pressure, explodes into his opposite shadow, the addicted lover. They are two sides of the same dysfunctional coin, a tragic cycle of starvation and binging, of repression and explosion. According to Moore, the lover is the most repressed and stunted archetype in men today. In our Western culture, we have often taught boys and men that to be a man is to be stoic, detached, and unaffected. Don't be emotional. Toughen up. Men don't cry. We are discouraged from getting in touch with our feelings. But the great men of history understood that. Emotion, when properly channeled, is the very fuel of greatness. The ancient Greeks called it thumosa, fiery spirit in the chest, a passionate heart that drives a man to do great deeds. To access the lover archetype is therefore crucial for our success and fulfillment as men. So how do we do it? How do we rekindle this sacred fire when it has been dampened for so long? The path begins not with a grand gesture, but with a simple, radical shift in attention. It is the shift from seeking more to savoring what is. The addicted lover is on a lifelong quest for a pleasure that will last forever, chasing an ever-receding horizon. The answer to this frantic cycle is to cultivate the virtue of moderation and to become radically present in your own life. Instead of constantly wanting more, you pause. You learn to experience the things you already have in a deeper way, with all of your senses. You transform small, daily activities into rich, satisfying rituals that bring you joy. For example, do you enjoy coffee? Don't just gulp it down while checking your phone. Create a slow, deliberate coffee ritual for yourself a few times a week. Open the bag and smell the beans before you grind them. Notice the sound of the grinder, the bloom of the grounds as the hot water hits them. Pour it into a cup you love. Take it outside or to a quiet corner of your home and slowly sip it, savoring the warmth, the aroma, the complex taste. Do nothing else for those 10 minutes. Just be with your coffee. This is a lover's practice. Extend this to everything. Chew your food slowly and actually taste it. When you are with your partner, touch her skin, kiss her slowly, feel the texture of her hair instead of rushing towards a goal. After a rainstorm, go for a walk and consciously breathe in that clean, earthy smell of petrichor. Remember, the lover experiences as much of life as possible, with as many senses as possible. Another powerful way to access the lover is to engage in a hobby you are passionate about, especially one that involves artistic skill or craftsmanship. Carve out and protect time for that hobby. It doesn't matter if it seems silly or unproductive. It could be playing the guitar, painting, woodworking, gardening, or cooking a gourmet meal. As long as it brings you joy and provides a creative outlet, do it. That is the lover's sacred play. A man seeking to access his lover should also make reading a lifelong habit. Immersing yourself in great literature, poetry, and philosophy from a wide range of subjects stimulates your mind and feeds your soul. It provides your imagination with rich material to work with, lifting you out of the mundane rut of daily anxieties. The quest for knowledge, pursued not for utility but for its own sake, fuels the lover's capacity for imagination and inspiration. Spend time in nature, go hiking, camping, or simply sit in a park. Nature connects you directly to the mysterious primal forces of life, bypassing the intellect and speaking directly to the soul. And of course, you can access the lover by making time for romance. Plan a surprise date for your girlfriend or wife. It doesn't have to be expensive or elaborate. And don't stop there. Write her a love letter. Not a text, not an email, but a real handwritten letter. If you feel truly inspired, try writing a poem. It doesn't have to be Shakespeare. The sincerity of the attempt is everything. Boom! Instant access to the lover archetype. In addition to these practices, Moore suggests a technique he calls active imagination to access the fullness of the archetypes. He suggests you admire and study men who exemplify the archetype you wish to cultivate. For the lover, you might read the biographies and study the works of great artists you admire. You could spend a month immersing yourself in the life and notebooks of Leonardo da Vinci, marveling at his boundless curiosity. Or, if you're a fan of Hemingway, read all of his novels, paying attention to how he captured the sensual world with his prose. By filling your mind with these exemplars, you give your own psyche a model to emulate. A final powerful technique is to act as if you already have access to the archetype. This is the fake it till you make it philosophy endorsed by none other than Aristotle. If you feel as though the impotent lover has taken control of your psyche, if you feel drained of vitality and passion, then act as if you were passionate about life. Act as if you had full access to the lover. If you've never been interested in art, force yourself to go to a museum, but don't just wander through. Stand in front of one painting for a full 10 minutes. Look at the colors, the brushstrokes, the play of light and shadow. Act as if you are fascinated by it. You might find, after a while, that you no longer have to pretend. By taking the action, you can often generate the feeling. You are inviting the energy of the lover back into your life, showing him that there is a space for him, that he is welcome at your table once more. First, we feel. And from that feeling, all else is built. This is the foundational fire. In our next journey, we will explore the archetype that gives this fire its focus and its blade, the warrior.